Mr Speaker, in light of that and mindful of the victims of Epstein's crimes, he has been withdrawn as ambassador with immediate effect.
Dr Caroline Johnson.
Mr Speaker, the idea that our country should be represented in America or on the world stage by somebody who is trying to get a paedophile out of prison early will fill us all completely with revulsion. But I wonder if the Minister could be clearer. He's used the terms the Prime Minister has asked the Foreign Secretary to withdraw the ambassador. He said the PM made the decision, but he's also said in this speech the mandate.
This facility was going to specialise in diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's and MS. It was going to feed into the work of a cluster of life sciences bodies like the Francis Crick Institute. Did the government engage with Merck before its decision? And what damage will this cause to research and medicine access for our constituents who are affected by these conditions? The government told UK taxpayers that their devastating national insurance hike would boost the NHS. But NHS leaders admit the money's gone on national insurance, wage deals and drug price inflation. Not better services, no money left for negotiations with life sciences companies. In fact, life sciences have faced a £1.6 billion tax bill and a real terms cut to R&D. What are DSIP ministers doing to push the Health Secretary for progress on health data, on advanced therapies, price negotiations and regulatory reform of the kind that will improve our life sciences offer? For the last year, Labour has dined out on deals secured by the last Conservative government. We were promised that a US-UK trade deal would open doors for business. Instead, American firms are cancelling projects and our ambassador, who should have been batting for Britain, was instead battling for survival. Now that Lord Mandelson has slinked away again, who is speaking to the Americans about this collapsed deal? What will the Prime Minister be doing ahead of the state visit of President Trump to help UK life sciences? I welcome the Minister to his place, but where is the Secretary of State? In her very first week, she has overseen a £1 billion investment collapse. If she doesn't understand this is the most important thing in her brief right now, and if the government doesn't change course, it will not be the last deal to collapse.
Mr Speaker, I'm grateful for bringing this urgent question. It's an incredibly important issue, but let me just answer some of the questions. I think there were some questions in there from the Shadow Secretary of State. I mean, the Shadow Secretary of State asked what message that Merck has given to the government, but the message from Merck went in their quarterly report just a few months ago when they had to cut $3 billion a year from their operations. That is a significant amount of money, and their share price reflected the significance of that announcement. There is no doubt that MSD makes the world's most profitable and popular cancer drug, which goes out of patent in 2028, and they also said in that quarterly report that that is causing some pressure with their shareholders. The US trade deal, of course, that's been mentioned by the Shadow Secretary of State, said that we would use best endeavours to improve the conditions for US pharmaceutical companies in the UK, and the tariff for pharmaceutical companies to the US remains at 0%. The EU has a 15% blanket tariff, as we know, Mr Speaker. And in terms of NHS medicines, it's a common theme in this chamber, Mr Speaker, that the shadows of Secretaries of State come to this chamber and bemoan the state of the economy, they bemoan what has happened in the NHS. Waiting lists are fallen, whereas they were at their record levels. Satisfaction when we left the NHS in 2010 was at its highest level ever. It's now at its lowest. And indeed...
You can't do punch forward in the middle of it, you come at the end.
Mr Speaker, there's no doubt that spending on NHS medicines has fallen from 15 to 9%, which is part of the problems in the pharmaceutical industry. My right honourable friend, the Health Secretary, made a £1 billion offer to the pharmaceutical industry over the summer, but they chose not to vote on that, so the Health Secretary withdrew from negotiations. We're trying to clear up the mess that's been left after 14 years of Conservative governments, and the Shadow Secretary of State should realise that that mess is deep, that mess is wide, and it will cause problems in the sectors. But as the Health Secretary has stated a number of times, and with that £1 billion offer, he's trying to resolve some of these underlying issues.
Chair of the Select Committee, Dame Chi Omora.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to welcome the Minister to his place, I wish under better circumstances, because the loss of Merck's investment, following on the loss of AstraZeneca investment in January, will certainly be perceived as a blow to the UK's life sciences sector, though we must not forget the amazing work that businesses, startups and researchers do in constituencies across the country, including in my own. And we also must not forget the importance of value for money in NHS spending. So the Select Committee will hold an urgent session on Tuesday to examine the issues driving the life sciences sector, including tariffs, investment incentives from the US, access to capital, and the relationship with NHS pricing. But in the meantime, it is clear that the life sciences sector plan, published in July, does not reflect market conditions. Could the Minister update us on how and how quickly he plans to revise the life sciences sector plan?
Can I thank the Chair of the Select Committee for that constructive approach, and I look forward to the Select Committee on Tuesday to examine this particular and really important issue. She mentions the Life Sciences Sectorial Plan. That's really important, Mr. Speaker. It comes with significant investment in research and development. It comes with improving clinical trial performance. It comes from moving money and support from other key sectors into the sectors that are in the industrial strategy. Life sciences benefit from that. There's £2.5 billion a year from this government going into life sciences. That contributes towards the £9 billion that the private sector invests every year. And there is no doubt, and the Select Committee Chair will know this, that the Chancellor, when she passed her budget last year, gave the most generous settlement for research and development ever in the spending review, £86 billion over the spending review period. That's to support the industrial strategy, of which life science is a key sector. And she does, as well as I know, from companies in my own constituency, that the sector is growing, the sector needs more support, and we're determined to deliver that.
Ian Son, Liberal Democrat spokesperson.
Mr. Speaker, and I also welcome the Minister to his place. It is incredibly disappointing that MSD has pulled out of this £1 billion investment in the UK, including the loss of over 100 jobs in important life sciences infrastructure. But this has been on the cards for some time, and the warnings to government have fallen on deaf ears. As has been mentioned earlier this year, AstraZeneca also cancelled planned upgrades to its production, and Novartis has described the UK as largely uninvestable. One pharmaceutical company reducing its UK operations is a problem, but there is a worrying trend that threatens a crisis in the sector. The UK is becoming less and less attractive to the life sciences industry, and with good reason. Firstly, the budget saw huge rises in costs to all businesses, including through Labour's jobs tax. And secondly, when it comes to the life sciences industry, there has been a notable lack of investment across the sector, including in job creation and critical skills, and in creating that commercial environment that can compete internationally. Lib Dems continue to call for the government to make research and development investment 3.5% of GDP, which in life sciences would be a key focus. And that would be coupled with extra support for academic institutions to commercialise research. So I would like to ask the Minister how the government plans to restore confidence among pharmaceutical companies that the UK is a competitive place for research and development and manufacturing. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to the honourable gentleman for raising those particular points. It's really important to lay out to the public but to the House that MSD will still continue to employ 1,600 people in this country and be a key part of the life sciences sector. And there's many companies that are investing. Moderna, BioNTech, Isomorphic Labs are all investing in this country. In my own constituency, Roslin CT, are expanding at such a great pace that they can't keep up with the amount of space that they require, and they can't keep up with the kind of wet lab facilities that they require. So this is all the challenges that we're having to try and deal with. I gently say to the honourable gentleman that what the second sentence of his contribution was about the national insurance increases for employers, and the fourth sentence of his contribution was about spending more money on R&D and life sciences. They can't be both true. And therefore, if you want to spend money and the priorities that you have, and political parties will have different priorities, then you have to raise that money. And you can't have it both ways. So the message to the industry is that this is the best place in the world to invest. Bring your investment here, and this government backs you through an industrial strategy and a life sciences sectorial plan.
Steve Ress.
Speaker, and welcome the Minister to his place. Exeter has a very strong life sciences and R&D sector, and just recently Exeter University was awarded £10.5 million from UKRI to set up the Metamaterials Hub, real cutting-edge science. That also leveraged private sector investment into Exeter of another £10 million. Does the Minister agree with me that it's this sort of investment and commitment to research and development that will enable cities like Exeter to thrive and grow in the future?
Mr Speaker, can I just pay tribute to the honourable gentleman for the work he does in his constituency of Exeter with the university in a whole number of areas, and all of us who represent university towns, of which I do as well. There's significant investment going into research and development, significant investment in life sciences, because that is the future for this country. This country is committed to growth, and I can assure the honourable gentleman that I'll be doing everything I can in this role to make sure we're investing in that. And just gently remind the House again that in the spending review, this was the largest ever settlement for research and development this country has ever seen, at £86 billion. That says to the industry we're open for business, come and invest here, and come and make life sciences at the top of that investment.
Roger Gale.
Well, Mr Speaker, Discovery Park in my constituency at Sandwich is the phoenix that rose from the ashes of Pfizer. It's now a cluster of over 100 very enterprising, very successful small companies in the life sciences field. The loss of cornerstones like AstraZeneca and MSD could have a devastating effect upon the architecture of the pharmaceutical industry in this country. So what is the government going to do, practically, to reverse the decline in confidence in that industry?
Mr Speaker, I say to the right honourable gentleman who I've had the utmost respect for, that in this first part of his question he quite rightly promotes the wonderful work that's going on in his own constituency at the Discovery Park, and then says that everything is doom and gloom. That is not the case. This government is investing in research and development to the tune of £86 billion. We're investing in life sciences. It's one of the 8 key sectors in the industrial strategy, and I would hope that the business park in his constituency benefits fundamentally from that. And I would merely repeat that the MSD are not leaving the UK. They will still employ 1,600 people here and be the cornerstone of research in this country.
Thank you very
much, Mr Speaker. And I welcome the Minister to his place. This is devastating news for the research scientists, for the fantastic work they do on neuroscience, inflammation and immunology. Some of this is being carried out at the Francis Crick Institute, to which I declare that I'm an unpaid visiting research scientist there. But will the Minister agree with me that the UK has so much expertise to offer, and the Minister needs to look at the whole life science ecosystem, from bench discovery to pill dispensing at the bedside? And will the Minister join us at the Science Innovation Select Committee on Tuesday afternoon, where we can go in depth about these issues? Thank you.
Mr Speaker, can I just pay tribute to the Right Honourable Lady for the work that she does, unpaid, as a research institute. It would be really good to hear from her what she sees inside the sector. But she raises, I think, the most important point in any debates about science and research development and life sciences in particular in this country, that we have world-class institutions, we have world-class companies, and they are made world-class by the world-class scientists and academics that work within them. We should cherish that, we should grow it, and we should have more.
John Glenn.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. At Porton Down in my constituency, there is a hub of life science businesses. I've listened very carefully to what the Right Honourable Gentleman has said, and I recognise the difficult dilemmas that all governments have in terms of where to focus investment. But he surely must recognise that the additional costs of employing people, the additional rights and burdens that puts on employers, particularly small employers, plus 11 weeks of speculation about further tax increases, aren't going to make any sector feel more comfortable about where to invest in this country.
Mr Speaker, the Honourable Gentleman was a Treasury Minister, so understands some of the issues involved here. So I'd merely point him to the report that MSD released to their shareholders for the first quarter that said they had to divest from $3 billion a year of operating costs. That is a huge part of their operating agenda, and that's a geopolitical issue as well as a commercial decision.
Bob Blackman.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Minister will know that this part of London, where MSD were going to invest, has been significantly invested in for medical research, particularly in research of brain-related diseases. Now, this decision casts doubt on the future of that particular area around the Greater King's Cross area. So what implications does he draw from this decision to disinvest on that particular proposal, which is supported cross-party?
Mr. Speaker, at this stage I'm not aware that there will be any downside to the entirety of that ecosystem that revolves around the King's Cross area of London. Obviously this decision has come very late to the government. We'll work with MSD in terms of the future, but I think there's a very, very bright future, as we've just heard from my right honourable friend, for this particular cluster and for all the other clusters that we've heard from honourable members from across the chamber already this morning.
Danny Beale.
For transparency, I should declare that I was a director of the Knowledge Quarter Partnership at King's Cross and cabinet member responsible for negotiating the MSD headquarter deal. It is disappointing news today. But turning to my current constituency, I hear from a number of life sciences and pharmaceutical companies that they have concerns about the previous government's VPAG levy and how it's working in practice, particularly that it's focused on revenue and not profit and doesn't take into account the differential level of R&D needed. Particularly Celtron, a South Korean company in my constituency, highlight that the biosimilar medications require a lot more investment than other forms of pharmaceuticals. Will the Minister or his counterpart meet with me and Celtron in my constituency to discuss the biosimilar sector and how we can support it to grow?
I'm very grateful and I'm very happy to take up that meeting and hear directly from the experience that the honourable gentleman has. But he raises the big issue around the legacy that was left by the previous government of 15 years of underinvestment in medical pricing. There was a £1 billion offer made by the Health Secretary to the pharmaceutical industry over the summer, which the pharmaceutical industry decided not to vote on, which meant it was withdrawn. That's disappointing. The last deal was done in 2023 under the previous government, and this is a long-term issue that has to be resolved.
Kim Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Life sciences plays a significant impact in terms of the economy and public health initiatives across the Liverpool City region. So it was a blow earlier this year when AstraZeneca pulled out of the £450 million deal to expand its plant in Speak. So can the Minister explain how his department is supporting the Liverpool City Mayor and the Life Science Investment Zone to build confidence and to secure greater investment for this sector?
Very simply, Mr. Speaker, to the Honourable Lady, the Life Science Sectorial Plan has been set out to give industry certainty over the longer term that this government is serious about the investment that we will make and the industry will make in the sector itself. £2.5 billion a year from this government, the largest settlement for R&D ever in the spending of £86 billion. I hope that gives reassurance to her constituents and to the life sciences companies in her constituency and around the region that this government is serious about backing them.
Mr. Speaker, and I welcome the right honourable member to his new role, although admittedly surprised that Labour adopted a fire and rehire strategy. Scotland has one of the highest concentrations of life sciences hubs, and in the last 5 years has created 6 innovation centres directly aligned to life sciences. What assessment has he made on the impact of this announcement on Scotland's research and development sector, and what support does he plan to put in place?
Mr. Speaker, I visited Roslin CT in my own constituency last Friday, and the life sciences sector in Scotland is indeed buoyant and flourishing. There are lots of opportunities for them to expand. It's probably a dividend of the Union.
Adam Jogi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm very pleased the Minister has confirmed and reiterated that life sciences remain a priority in the industrial strategy. Keele University in Newcastle-Lyme is at the heart of our life sciences sector, which is particularly important for jobs and opportunities in the industrial heartlands in communities like mine. So will the Minister find time to meet me to talk about how we can support the work at Keele, or even better, will you get on the train and come and see us?
Hear, hear.
I'm very happy to do so. I think that's my third invite already this morning, and I'm very happy to do so. And I think what that question demonstrates, and the invite to go to Newcastle-under-Lyme to visit his constituencies, the thriving life sciences sector all across the country. And I can give him an assurance that we tend to back the life sciences sector. And whilst it's an incredibly disappointing decision from MSD to make in terms of what their new building at King's Cross, it's a thriving sector. Many companies are investing and growing very quickly.
Tom Gordon.
Speaker. It's just the latest in a series of blows to UK life sciences. Companies have been pulled towards the US with incentives and tariffs, while we have no detailed industrial strategy, an uncompetitive tax regime from the Treasury, and a Department of Health that undervalues drug access. When the government announced its life sciences plan, it fell short of what industry and the sector expected. So will the government commit to an updated refresh, cross-party, and give businesses the stability they need to invest in Britain?
Mr. Speaker, yet more spending but no idea of how the revenue would be increased. This government had to make some incredibly difficult decisions in order to balance the books to give that stability in the economy so we could invest in R&D such as life sciences. The NHS 10-year plan is moving treatment to preventative. That will require medicines. Moving hospital to community will require medicines, and moving from analog to digital will enhance and target medicines more better for the patients. That is just one example of what we're doing in the NHS to improve our life sciences sector. It is a key part and one of the 8 key sectors of industrial strategy, and we intend to back it through that strategy.
Peter Swallow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I welcome my right honourable friend to his place, and also welcome my honourable friend, the member for Glasgow South West, to his place as Life Sciences Minister in the Department for Health. I am incredibly ambitious for the life sciences in my constituency of Bracknell and across Berkshire. It's a key industry for us. So will my right honourable friend share my ambition and agree to meet with me or set up a meeting with the Life Sciences Minister to discuss what more we can do to support the sector in Bracknell?
Mr. Speaker, in the interest of time, yes.
Medical isotopes are critical for the treatment of cancer and for diagnoses and for other medical applications, yet there has long been concerns about security of supply. Welsh Government's Project Arthur are working with the nuclear licence site Trawsfynydd in my constituency to develop the means of producing medical isotopes for security of supply here in the UK. What is his department doing to work with the Department of Health to find a way of bringing this forward?
I've just been working with the Department of Health to try and bring this forward. I don't know the exact answer to this question. To our question. If I knew the answer, I would give it. I don't, so I'll write to it.
Very much, Mr. Speaker, and may I welcome the Minister to his place. The life sciences sector is helping to regenerate parts of South Birmingham's economy, from the New Waters pharmaceutical factory on the old Longbridge MG Rover site in my constituency to the University of Birmingham's Life Science Incubator. The Minister has been extremely generous in agreeing to meet members today, so continuing in that spirit, would he be willing to meet with South Birmingham MPs to discuss what more can be done to support this very important part of our local economy?
Mr. Speaker, I'm tempted just to say no, just to see what good reaction that gets, but of course I'll meet with any honourable or right honourable member across this House to discuss this life sciences sector. And I think what it shows, Mr. Speaker, whether you're north, south, east or west, including in my own constituency, life sciences plays a key role and continues to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I must declare that my wife works in the pharmaceutical and life sciences industry. The Minister and the Chancellor claim to want to boost growth, yet investment is fleeing the very sectors that he claims is a priority. Is it not the case that the vague aspirations of the government don't meet the real-world test, and the only people who are going to suffer from this are his constituents and, unfortunately, mine?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, can I congratulate the honourable gentleman's wife and what she does in the sector? She's the only one in the family with a real job. But this does show you the depth and breadth of the sector across the country. Everyone will know someone who works in the life sciences sector. £86 billion from the spending review going into research and development, £2.5 billion backing the life sciences sectorial plan. There is, of course, economic and geopolitical issues that are affecting the pharmaceutical industry at the moment. And as I said in my opening remarks, Mr. Speaker, MSD's quarterly report said they had to take $3 billion out of operating costs over the next few years. And unfortunately and regrettably, this is part of that plan.
I represent people who work at the Excellent Living Systems Institute at the University of Exeter. The purpose-built institute was launched in 2017 to bring together physicists, mathematicians, biologists, biomedical scientists, with the expectation that life sciences is going to enjoy substantial foreign direct investment for the years to come. What effect does the government anticipate the withdrawal of this private investment will have on the life sciences for research students, including those at Exeter?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I would say to life sciences students in particular, who are at the fledgling part of their career, that this is a career they should be in for the long term. This is the future. This is why it's part of our industrial strategy and one of our key 8 sectors in that industrial strategy. And I know this is incredibly disappointing news that the government have had today in this commercial decision from MSD, but there's lots of wonderful stuff going on in this sector, so we should not talk it down. Moderna are investing more, BioNTech are investing more, Isomorphic Labs are investing more, Roslin CT, my own constituency, are investing more. We've heard right across the chamber today the companies that are investing more in life sciences. This is a growing industry, so I would say to fledgling academics and people who want to get involved in this industry to get in there.
Jim Shelley, final question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I thank the Minister for his answers? I think what we're all seeking today is reassurance in relation to the sector. News that MSD has withdrawn their project plan for a research centre in the United Kingdom, and the loss of 125 potential jobs and staff is devastating for our science plans. It does show a lack of faith in long-term planning by the investors that we are so reliant on. So how will the Minister seek to reassure global partners that science investment is a priority for this government, and will investment see a swift return to the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, our workforce are the very best in the world. Our world-class institutions are made world-class because of that world-class workforce. This is the best place in the world to invest at the moment. We're obviously in discussions with the US around the pharmaceutical industry in terms of tariffs and the EU-US economic deal. There's lots of positive stuff going on in this industry, and if we were to send out one message to the industry today from this House, it's that this industry is thriving. It is one of the key 8 sectors of our industrial strategy. This government backs it. We're backing it with money, we're backing it with our strategy, and we're backing it as a whole government.
Right, that can let the front benches change over. We now come to business questions. Shadow Leader of the House. Jesse? No.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Speaker. Will the new Leader of the House give us the forthcoming business?
Here, here. Can I just welcome the new Leader of the House and thank the previous Leader as well, but I'm looking forward to this session. Leader of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Probably more than I am. Can I, first of all, give the business? On Monday, the 15th of September, consideration of Lord's amendments to the Employment Rights Bill. Tuesday, the 16th of September, second reading of the Sentencing Bill. The House will then rise for the conference recess at the conclusion of business on Tuesday, the 16th of September, and return on Monday, the 13th of October. The business for the week commencing 13th of October includes Monday, the 13th of October, general debate on baby loss. The subject for this debate was determined by the Backbench Business Committee. Tuesday, the 14th of October, remaining stages of the Mental Health Bill, Lords. Wednesday, the 15th of October, remaining stages of the Sustainable Aviation Fuel Bill. Thursday, the 16th of October, second reading of the Biodiversity Beyond Natural Jurisdiction Bill. On Friday, the 17th of October, the House will not be sitting. And the provisional business for the week commencing 20th of October includes Monday, the 20th of October, Committee of the Whole House and remaining stages of the Diego Garcia Military Base and British Indian Ocean Territory Bill.
Jesse Norm.
I thank the Leader for the business. Mr. Speaker, on this 24th anniversary of 9/11, I know the whole House want to join me and I'm sure the Leader in sending our best wishes to the families and the friends of the victims of those horrendous terrorist attacks. So too our best wishes to those grieving at the murder of Charlie Kirk in the USA and to our own great colleague, the member for Washington and Gateshead South, for the terrible news that she has had this morning. Let me start, if I may, by thanking the recently departed Leader of the House. She and I had our disagreements. I don't think there's much doubt about that. She supported the wrong football team, and I struggled to get her to answer my questions. But she was diligent and effective in responding to members across this House as well as in committee. Without getting too teary about it, I will even miss her appalling puns. But, Mr. Speaker, it is an ill wind that blows nobody any good. Hurricane Tax Dodge blew away the Deputy Prime Minister and destroyed the Prime Minister's much-vaunted Phase 2, but it has brought us the former Labour Chief Whip. He was a history teacher, and there can't be many better forms of public service than that. After his distinguished career channeling industriously away in the usual channels, I warmly welcome him blinking to the bright lights of the dispatch box. Mr. Speaker, I had somehow thought that having plumbed the depths of incompetence over the summer, the government would now settle down a bit. How naive, how desperately foolish I was. The number 10 team were obviously taking the mickey. They were laughing at us, Mr. Speaker. You think this is incompetent? They said, we've hardly got going. We can do vastly better than this. Resets are for wimps. Let's have a full-blown crash reshuffle. Let's have a new Foreign Secretary and a Home Secretary, as well as a new Deputy Prime Minister. And let's undermine the Chancellor of the Exchequer by ostentatiously lining up the former Chief Secretary to replace her. The markets will really welcome that. Even better, let's have an election for Deputy Leader. People are already scared to death about all the taxes coming in the budget, but they'll be completely reassured if we run a Labour leadership election at the same time. Ideally, we can make the Deputy Leader a former Cabinet Minister whom the Prime Minister has just abruptly fired. That'll be good for stability. Oh, and we can go further. We can actively undermine relations with our closest ally if we throw in a major scandal over the Prime Minister's personal choice as ambassador to the USA. Mr. Speaker, if only this was a joke. Instead, it is a tragedy. It's like we're trapped in an unending episode of The Office with the Prime Minister as David Brent. The unions are ratcheting up their pay demands. The RMT is holding 7 days of rolling walkouts. The tube has come to a standstill. The only people who probably won't be affected are junior doctors in London who have voted to have strikes until the new year, and they'll be staying at home anyway. As the former director of the IFS remarked, it all shows how, and I'm quoting, staggeringly unprepared Labour was for government. And it is we, Mr. Speaker, we across this House and all our constituents who are paying the price for their arrogance and negligence. Mr. Speaker, the leader will only just be coming up to speed now, of course, one perfectly understands that, but I would make one early request of him, if I may, with the utmost seriousness. He will know that many thousands of veterans, including hundreds in my own constituency and in his constituency, have had their lives thrown into uncertainty and bad, desperate indeed in some cases, anxiety by the government's decision to repeal the Northern Ireland Veterans Act. That was more than a year ago now. The government promised a legally sound and effective legislative solution to the problem it had created. So could the leader let us know now or in a written update before the recess when the Northern Ireland Secretary will come to the House and publish that solution?
Hear, hear. Leader of the House.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Speaker. First of all, can I add my tribute to my predecessor, the Right Honourable Member for Manchester Central, for her excellent work as Leader of the House over the last year. She spearheaded the revival of the Modernisation Committee, which was a manifesto commitment, and oversaw the PAC legislative programme that formed the basis of this government's first King's Speech. I know I'm amongst many MPs across the House in wanting to thank her for her diligence and hard work. Yeah. I'd also, Mr. Speaker, like to express my thanks to Colin Lee, the Clerk of Legislation, who is retiring this week, having joined the House service in 1988. MPs from across the House have valued his wise counsel over many years, and I know the whole House will wish him well. I know the House will also share my sadness at learning of the death of Sir Roger Sands, who was Clerk of the House from 2003 to 2006. Sir Roger was a distinguished servant of the House for 41 years, and the House will want to convey our condolences to Lady Sands and to Sir Roger's family. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to turn to the Shadow Leader's remarks, but before I do so, and thank him for welcoming me to my place, before I do so, I should caution him and indeed the House that the last time I answered a question from this dispatch box was the same year as the iPad was released. Both you and I, Mr. Speaker, had, shall we say, a little more hair and of a darker hue. And at the time, the average price of a pint of beer was £2.91. And at the minute, Mr. Speaker, there are people behind me who weren't even old enough to buy alcohol when that actually happened. But I am looking forward to having these sessions with the Shadow Leader of the House. We've actually been in the House for a decade, but I can't claim to know him particularly well, so I too went to Wikipedia to find out a bit more. He is, Mr. Speaker, a philosopher, a historian, and an author of note. It is clear, Mr. Speaker, that the Right Honourable Gentleman is a thinking Conservative, which is an increasingly rare commodity. I want to associate myself with the comments that he made on the anniversary of 9/11, also on the death of Charlie Kirk, and let us remember that in these circumstances his family have been robbed of a father and a husband. There is no justification at all for political violence, whatever the views of the person involved. Now, I know, Mr. Speaker, that there will inevitably be a degree of knockabout about the state of the government at these sessions, or indeed the state of the opposition. And just to say that I am happy any day to have a debate on the comparison between this government's 14 months and his disastrous government of 14 years. The only thing we were unprepared for, Mr. Speaker, was the scale of the state that this country was in. On the substantive point in which he raised about Northern Ireland, he knows that these are difficult matters. He also knows that the government has given a commitment to bring forward legislation. It is really important that reassurances are in place. And I can tell him that the government will be saying something very, very shortly. And let me just finish on this, Mr. Speaker. The Shadow Leader in the House and I both have a deep respect for Parliament. And I can give him and the House reassurance that I take my responsibility, both as the government's representative in Parliament, but also this House's representative in government, very seriously indeed.
Can I say to everybody, I expect to run this for around an hour, so help each other by being short and punchy. And we'll have a good example with Elsie Blundell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to welcome the leader to his place. I applaud the government for its bold action it is taking to reform the criminal justice system, but more must be done to safeguard communities from violent reoffenders. In Middleton, I have been in touch with the courageous family of Michael Houlihan. Michael was tragically killed in 2016 by a prolific offender who, despite being under the supposed supervision of the local probation service, was not prevented from committing this appalling act which has devastated the lives of his family and friends. Please would the leader consider allowing a debate in government time so that members can consider how we mitigate reoffending among violent perpetrators and give voice to the countless bereaved families out there who deserve our compassion and our focus.
Yeah, Leader of the House.
I'd like to thank my honourable friend for her question. This is without doubt an appalling tragedy, and my family are with the family of my thoughts are with the family of Michael. It is important that we address the issue of reoffending. It is critical to public safety. We have the second reading of the sentencing bill on Tuesday, which aims to reduce offending because it has a devastating effect on victims, and I would encourage you to consider speaking in that debate.
Liberal Democrat spokesperson Marie Goldman.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I start by first welcoming the new Leader of the House to his place, and also join him and the Shadow Leader in thanking the previous Leader of the House for her sterling efforts, especially when there are so many people bobbing to ask questions every Thursday morning. Indeed, I look forward to working with him on the various committees on which we'll be serving. I hope he will follow the government's mantra to go further and faster, especially in modernisation. Today is a big day for news, but in particular I would like to echo words condemning the appalling attack on the office of the Honourable Member for Washington and Gateshead South, for whom I have a huge amount of respect. I also want to join other colleagues by recognising that today is the 24th anniversary of 9/11. I'm sure the whole House agrees the importance of remembering the victims, including British citizens, their families, and those who continue to be affected, both physically and mentally, by the attack and its aftermath. Madam Deputy Speaker, this week I again met with victims and family members who have been subjected to ongoing injustice in our health system. In particular, women and their children who were affected by shocking failures of medical devices and the prescription of drugs that had devastating, life-changing consequences. While pregnant, my constituent Mary was prescribed the anti-epilepsy medication sodium valproate. Very sadly, Mary joined so many other parents whose children were consequently born with significant birth defects. Like any parent of a disabled child, Mary is incredibly worried about their future and what support will be in place to look after them when she is no longer able to. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, victims and their families are exhausted. They have campaigned for many years to draw political attention to these matters, but it seems successive governments aren't listening. Indeed, the government has yet to respond to the Hughes report into the sodium valproate and pelvic mesh scandals that was published over 18 months ago. So I ask the leader, will he ask the Health Secretary to make a statement to this House to urgently provide an update?
The House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'd like to thank the honourable member for her questions and the tone of her questions. And I look forward to working together with her both on the Commission and the Modernisation Committee. And I want to commend her for campaigning on these really important matters. Our sympathies are with those affected, and we are fully focused on how best to support patients and prevent future harm. The Government will continue to listen to those affected in this complex area. And I'll ensure that ministers in the Department of Health and in the Cabinet Office have heard her concerns, and if she wishes to meet them, then I'll seek a meeting.
Mary Kelly-Foy.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I had the pleasure of meeting Fergus, Freddie and Michael, members of the band Jam Tub, at a recent visit to Framwellgate School in Durham. These musicians are passionate about contributing to the cultural vibrancy of Durham, performing at events like the much-loved Durham Fringe Festival. But they contacted me after they noticed a distinct lack of venues across the whole of County Durham for young bands to perform and practice in, limiting their opportunities to, as musicians to grow. So will the Leader of the House agree to a debate in government time on the importance of addressing regional cultural inequalities which are impacting opportunities available to talented youngsters, not just in Durham but across the country?
I thank my honourable friend for that question, and as a Durham lad I concur with her. It's not just a question of venues in Durham, it is a question of venues across the country. And the government, and in particular the department, is very cognizant of that and will be doing everything that we can to support them. These are issues which affect a lot of constituencies, and therefore should she choose to seek a backbench debate or even an adjournment debate, I'm sure she'll receive support from across the House.
Chair of the Backbench, Business Committee, Bob Blackman.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I welcome the Leader to his position, and I hope we can have an early meeting to ensure that backbenchers can give their voice in this chamber as before. I thank him for the business being read on the 13th of October when we return from conference. Given past experiences of when we return from recesses and the likelihood of statements and possibly urgent questions, there are 78 people that want to speak on the baby loss debate, so I would ask him to consider giving it protected time so that people are able to relate their stories. In addition, the business in Westminster Hall on Tuesday the 16th of September will be a debate on the International Day of Democracy. On the 16th of October there will be a debate on World Menopause Day, followed by a debate on the Ada Lovelace Day and government support for women in science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And on the 23rd of October there will be a debate on histological testing of excised moles, followed by a debate on the impact of NHS workforce levels on cancer patients. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, I was very tempted to ask a question about the legalisation now, which happened at an employment tribunal earlier this week, that it's now possible to discriminate against people because of the football team they support. However, there's a much more serious issue, and that is the situation in Nepal. Following the death of 20 protesters, the Prime Minister of Nepal resigned, the Parliament building was set on fire, and there is a threat of a military coup. Now, I certainly have many relatives of constituents who live in Nepal and are worried about the situation for their families. So I wonder if the Leader could arrange for a Foreign Office Minister to give a statement next week on what we are doing as the United Kingdom to protect those families and support the families in the United Kingdom.
Through the House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. First of all, let me thank the Honourable Member for his work as Chair of the Backbench Business Committee, and I do look forward to working with him. I will commit to an early meeting with him, but also regular meetings. In terms of Mondays, he will know that I've long taken the view that we need to take care on Monday, whether it's backbench business or indeed government business, when we return from recess. And so I will give some thought as to protected time, but the reality is that we can often manage the business of that day. The government can manage the number of statements that go on. There is an issue around managing UQs, which is not the government's decision, but nevertheless can be managed. But I will return to that issue if need be. On the really important matter which he raises about the situation in Nepal, the recent loss of life and violence in Nepal is appalling. We do support fundamental freedoms and respect for human rights, including the right to protest and peaceful assembly, but violence is not the way forward. I expect that the FCDO will be across this matter, but I will ensure that I will draw his remarks to their attention.
Ms Twist.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. School holidays are great, but it can be a really tough time for some families. And programmes like the holiday activities and food programme help to bridge the gap by providing not only meals, but opportunities to build social skills and confidence with age-appropriate activities and a side serving of fun. Now, this year I attended a half-plus event hosted by Northumbria University, where young people aged 13 to 16 could do just that by taking part in activities from baking to gaming to martial arts designed by young people themselves. I'm delighted that the government has invested to extend the scheme for another 3 years. So can we have a debate in government time on how we can build on the success of HAF?
Yes.
I'm delighted to hear about the success of the programme, and as an alumni, I'm not surprised that Northumbria University is helping to deliver such successful programmes. It does a fantastic job for our region. We recently announced that £600 million is being invested to extend the holiday activities and food programme for another 3 years, and it has already reached over 500,000 children in the past year. And I'll ensure that the Secretary of State has heard my honourable friend's question this morning.
Karen Bradley.
Very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, and can I welcome the leader to his place and pay tribute to his predecessor, who I have to say to my honourable friend supports exactly the right football team. Madam Deputy Speaker, people in Staffordshire Moorlands are very concerned that they should have their say about what happens in devolution plans. So I'm sure the leader will share my astonishment that the reform-led Staffordshire County Council has put forward a proposal for an East Staffordshire Unitary Authority, which would see not just Staffordshire Moorlands, but Burton, Uttoxeter, Tamworth and Lichfield drawn into a greater Stoke-on-Trent. So could the leader find time for a debate on the importance of local people having their own say on what happens in their local area?
Leader of the House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I have to say to my, I was going to say my right honourable friend, she is in many ways actually, that I don't share her astonishment about that at all, because this is not unique of where Reform have councillors and indeed where they're running councils. It nevertheless is an absolute shame that Reform councillors appear to have gone back on their word in this case. And one of the themes that must run through the work that we do in local government is that we need to listen to local people. I've no doubt that she will continue to make that case, and I'd urge her to do so by organising a debate on the matter.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The Sikh Helpline is a fantastic charity in my constituency which supports Sikhs and people from all backgrounds with abuse, addiction and mental health issues. Over the summer, the Sikh Helpline did a 350-mile bike ride from Scotland to West Brom to raise money for the charity. So will the leader congratulate all the riders that took part and make time for a debate on the importance of civil society organisations like this?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. First of all, can I recognise the fantastic work that my honourable friend did as my predecessor's PPS. And I thank her for what I assume, therefore, is her first business question. A 350-mile bike ride is a terrific achievement, and I join her in recognising the importance of the Sikh Helpline for the work that they do in a local community. And this is the sort of matter, I think, which could be raised perhaps in an adjournment debate.
Sir Roger Gale.
Madam Deputy Speaker, could I also welcome the new Leader of the House to his position? I suspect he'll have rather more fun at that dispatch box than his successor will in the Government Chief Whip's office. Could I also please associate myself with the kind remarks that he made about Colin Lee, whose service as a clerk of the House, one of the clerks of the House, has been exemplary. As one of the longest-serving members of the Speaker's panel of chairmen, I've had the pleasure of working with Colin over very many years. He will be sorely missed, and the House owes him a huge debt of gratitude. Madam Deputy Speaker, charities in the United Kingdom working in Africa tell me that as a result of the withdrawal of US aid, women and children are dying in droves. The House will not be sitting when President Trump visits the United Kingdom, so we will not have an opportunity to send a clear message from this House at that time. But the Prime Minister will. So would the Leader of the House ask the Prime Minister to place on the agenda for discussion in the margins the withdrawal of US aid from Africa, which is having such a devastating effect?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I will commit to making the Prime Minister aware of what the Right Honourable Gentleman is asking, and hope that that will be heard when the President visits. But I also have to say that given his experience and his voice, I'm pretty sure that that message will be heard loud and clear.
Jessica Satter.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. One of the concerns raised by my constituents in Lowestoft is the closure of our public toilets due to redevelopment of our old Wilko site by the local council. I'm concerned that particularly older and disabled residents are being dissuaded from spending their time and money in our town centre shops due to fear of being caught short. Having met recently with the British Toilet Association, I learned that in the US, there is a national standard of one toilet for every 10,000 people. Can I therefore ask the Leader of the House whether we can have a debate in government time on the need for more toilets on our high streets?
To the House.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker. I couldn't agree more with my honourable friend on the importance of the availability of toilets in our town centres. It's an issue which I'm sure comes to the attention of MPs very, very often. I know that many people, particularly for those with complex needs or health conditions, the lack of a toilet can be the deciding factor on whether or not they leave the house. And because it's clearly a case for so many of my colleagues across the House, I think this would be a great topic for a Westminster Hall debate.
Vera House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. May I also welcome him to his place. Just 3 days ago, the BBC revealed how effortlessly an illegal vape laced with spice can be purchased through Snapchat. 1 in 6 confiscated vapes in schools now contain spice. They are described as a zombie drug. They're a prison drug. They're condemning potentially young people to a lifelong addiction and criminal life. Yet this week, Ofcom wrote to say that such evidence does not meet the bar for enforcement action, even under the new Online Safety Act. Can we have a statement from the Department of Science, Innovation and Technology to explain why Ofcom is refusing to hold social media companies accountable for drug dealing on their platforms and putting thousands of young people at risk?
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. As a former drugs minister, I share her concern absolutely, because I've always thought that a strong line should be taken. But of course, there is also the issue of the role that social media plays in this. So I thank you for raising this really important issue that is important for many people, not least for parents. And I will draw her concerns to the attention of the new Science, Innovation and Technology Secretary.
Platt.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. So our high streets in Lee and Atherton are being undermined by illicit shops used for money laundering, illegal working and counterfeit goods. With raids on shops taking place just this week, seizing over £10,000 worth of illicit goods, but the shops reopening within hours. Criminals are exploiting loopholes in the Licensing Act 2003, with councils struggling to act. So can the Leader of the House confirm that restoring town centres is a government priority, and will he allow time in Parliament to debate strengthening licensing laws and closing these damaging loopholes?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I begin by congratulating my honourable friend on her recent marriage? Indeed. I wonder what you're congratulating her for. But she raises a very important matter, and she's a Doughty campaigner for her local community. High streets are a cornerstone of our local communities, and we are delivering 13,000 more officers in neighbourhood policing roles to tackle these matters. But I will draw her attention, her comments to the attention of the relevant department, but also encourage her to attend the next Home Office orals next week to raise it with ministers directly.
John Glenn.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I welcome the Right Honourable Gentleman to his new role? Could I add to the voice of the Honourable Lady from Chelmsford and draw his attention to the reply that his predecessor gave me on the 27th of February concerning the response of the government to the report on valproate. It really is necessary that we do get a response. Janet Williams and Emma Murphy from InFact came to see me this week. They're grateful for the opportunity to meet the DWP Minister, but they really do need a formal response to the Commissioner's report of 19 months ago.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. He will appreciate that I am new to this role, but I give him a commitment that I will follow it up after this session and hopefully be able to arrange a meeting with the Minister and also to get a response which sounds overdue.
Sam Carley.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I've been supporting constituents living in ex-military housing on Embry Road in Wittering, in my constituency. The MOD sold their homes years ago, but they've been left in limbo because their properties remain wrongly classified under MOD commercial energy contracts. Despite repeated attempts, many have been unable to set up domestic accounts and are now facing sudden backdated gas and electric bills of up to £6,000. Does the Leader of the House agree this deserves a debate in Parliament on billing errors, and will he ensure that Ministry of Defence officials contact me so that we can get these homes reclassified, allowing my constituents to access fair tariffs and avoid further financial distress?
Leader of the House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I thank my honourable friend for raising this issue and recognise his affected constituents will have gone through a great deal of stress trying to deal with this. So I will ask colleagues in the Ministry of Defence to reach out to him in the hope that these matters can be resolved as soon as possible.
Liz Saville-Roberts.
Could I too welcome the new Leader of the House to his place? Trussell Trust's Hunger in Wales report published this week shows that families with 3 or more children are far more likely to be forced to turn to food banks. The 2-child limit is at the root of this injustice. It deliberately punishes children because of the number of brothers and sisters they have, and it is driving thousands of families into needless hardship. Will Labour in Westminster and Labour in Cardiff work together to grant debates in government time on the urgent need for this impoverishing policy to be scrapped?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The Honourable Lady knows that we are already taking action to help working parents. For example, free breakfast clubs will put £450 in the pockets of working parents. We've doubled the amount of free childcare for eligible working parents in extending care. We're expanding free school meals, and we're also extending the Household Support Fund. And I mentioned earlier in my remarks the holiday activities and food programmes. So we are doing a great deal. And of course, I know that there are discussions and debates around what other action can be taken. The government is committed to, it has a child poverty task force, which reports from time to time and will be reporting soon, whether they have something to say about this or not. She will also know that in the run-up to the budget, I've no doubt that these will be hot topics, and there will be ample time to debate them.
Michael Payne.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, and may I welcome my right honourable friend, the Leader, to his place. I recently had the privilege of visiting Lamley Reed Pond. Will he join me in thanking and paying tribute to Bonnie Bramwell and all the Lamley Reed Pond Committee who have worked tirelessly to protect and enhance one of the most beautiful hidden gems in my constituency of Gedling?
Yes, I do, Madam Deputy Speaker. Environmental matters are so important in constituencies, and the work of community groups in constituencies are so important. They are at the heart of what makes a true community. I pay tribute not just to them, but also to him for his tireless work on their behalf.
Alison Griffiths.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. 2 nights ago, a man in his 30s was stabbed in the centre of Bognor Regis, and this follows a fatal stabbing earlier this year.
So will the government bring forward a debate to consider how to make high streets safer and to tackle the increasing prevalence of knife crime in small seaside towns like Bognor Regis?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. We are taking action to tackle knife crime. In fact, we've given a commitment to halve it over the next decade and hopefully go even further than then. But she's said two things that are particularly relevant to me. One is, as a former Home Office Minister, I am acutely aware of the importance of levels of knife crime, but also as an MP for a seaside town, how important it is that they are safe places, not just for people to visit, but also for people to live as well. The government is absolutely determined to bear down on violent knife crime. And I'm sure there will be opportunities both in legislation in the future, but also should she choose to seek a debate on these matters.
Dave Robertson.
Madam Deputy Speaker, many honourable and right honourable members will know the name Armitage Shanks. The company has been making basins and toilets for over 200 years. Fewer people will know, though, that it takes its name from the village of Armitage in my constituency. Sadly, Armitage Shanks is planning to scale down its operation there, shutting one of its kilns and threatening up to 100 jobs. I'm working closely with the GMB union to make sure that those affected can find other opportunities and to safeguard as many livelihoods as we can. But the impact of those job losses on the community will be serious. Can the Leader of the House arrange for a debate in government time on how the government can help protect historic brands like Armitage Shanks?
Leader of the House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The news that my honourable friend brings to the House of job losses is disappointing. It's always disappointing when jobs are lost, and I know that the whole House will share his concern, particularly when it is a well-known name employing a large number of people. We are committed to supporting British industry, and Armitage Shanks is a name well known throughout the land. The Chancellor has announced the date of the next budget, which will turn to the long-term reforms that Britain needs to unlock growth and ensure that it works for working people. I will, of course, bring forward time for a debate following the budget in the usual way.
Andrew Rossendale.
Madam Speaker, this is a truly sad and tragic day for our friends in the United States of America as we remember the events of 9/11 in 2001, but also the tragic assassination last night of Charlie Kirk, who I was privileged to welcome to the Houses of Parliament in 2018 and take him to Speaker's House for a Christmas reception. He was a friend of the United Kingdom. He stood up for freedom and his Christian faith, and we mourn his loss and send our condolences to his family and friends. But talking about someone of principle that stands up for freedom, on the 13th of October, the day we get back after the conference recess, will be the 100th anniversary of the birth of our finest post-war Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. Will the Leader of the House allow a debate on the legacy of Margaret Thatcher, which was to restore the British economy, to stand up for Britain around the world, defend freedom, and not give away British islands, but protect them and defend them and restore them, as she did for the Falkland Islands in 1982.
Leader of the House.
Thank you indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I echo my remarks that I made earlier about Charlie Kirk. Whether we shared views or not, political violence is never acceptable. In terms of the anniversary of Mrs Thatcher, should he wish to seek a debate around that anniversary, I can assure him that it will be well attended. And I can also assure him that there will not be the unanimous approval of her legacy and record that he perhaps thinks there will be. Because I come from a community, Madam Deputy Speaker, which was devastated by the loss of heavy industry. And to be honest, many of those communities are still suffering. And the difference between those days and this day today is that when there is industrial change, this government stands with working people to lessen the impact and to ensure that new growth brings new jobs.
Kim Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I think I'm the only MP that can say I've got 2 amazing football stadiums and 2 majestic cathedrals in my Liverpool Riverside constituency. And we are the top 10 areas nationally for jobs, economic income and economic value. However, the hospitality sector are still struggling to recover from COVID and the rise in NI contributions. So, will the Leader of the House allow a debate in government time to discuss how we bring the UK closer to EU competitors by reducing VAT and to provide maximum discount for hospitality sites under 500,000 rateable value to stimulate demand, boosting competitiveness and keeping venues open?
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker. And my honourable friend is a Doughty campaigner, not just for her constituency, but indeed for her city. The government is always concerned about the state of hospitality and making sure that we act in a way in which we encourage investment in hospitality. It is at the centre of many of our constituencies, not least mine, not just about making sure that there is decent pay, but that there are decent conditions and respect for the people that actually work in them as well. But may I gently just say to my honourable friend, I know that the importance of getting the tax situation right, but when we need to raise national insurance in order to fill a financial hole, they were not easy decisions, but they were made. And people can't have it both ways. They can't have more spending on public services unless we actually, or indeed on hospitality support, unless we actually raise the money in the first place.
Richard Ford.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I would request, please, that we have a debate to consider both rural broadband and rural 4G. Broadband coverage in much of Devon is poor, in spite of the last government having said that they would spend £5 billion on it. 4G not spots are widespread, but the government scheme to get rid of them bears absolutely no relation to the broadband scheme. Will this government please get a map of those areas without proper broadband, plot on it the 4G not spots, and at least get everyone who I represent one or the other?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I will draw his attention, his issues to the attention of the relevant department, but we are putting £500 million this year to deliver Project Gigabit and the shared rural network to drive the rollout of digital infrastructure in parts of the UK that are currently underserved. And that will improve full nationwide connectivity by 2030. Over £2.3 billion of contracts signed to connect over 1 million homes in some of Britain's most remote locations.
Julie Minns.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and can I welcome the new Leader of the House to his place and also thank him for all of the help and support he's given those of us who were newly elected to this place 12 months ago in his previous role. Last Friday, Cumbria's new and first
sanitary products are being withheld from women and girls. Meanwhile, our Prime Minister rolls out the red carpet for the Israeli President, a man who has said on the record that the entire Palestinian nation out there is responsible for the October 7th attacks. Will the Leader of this House please commit to a debate in government time on the UK's duty to ensure international law is always upheld and on how we must work with our law-abiding international partners to guarantee that carries real weight on the world stage?
To the House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The government has been very clear in its condemnation of many of the things that have been happening over the last time in Gaza, and has made it very clear that it is important that aid gets into the area, and that also that we move towards a ceasefire to resolve this. But I have to say to him gently, when he talks about who we might talk to about that, most conflicts end with some kind of diplomacy. And diplomacy requires people to talk to each other, even though they may not agree. It allows the UK government and Prime Minister to put the views across. And I think that is really, really important. In terms of international law, it's at the heart of everything that this government seeks to do. And in terms of an opportunity to raise that, there have been several statements, many statements in this place about this important matter, and indeed debates. And it would be my intention that that will continue.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I've enjoyed many Bournemouth Air Festivals, so its cancellation has left a huge gap. I've met recently an event organiser who has a plan, and I'm open to meeting more organisers. Baha have launched Check-In, Chill Out under the leadership of Rosie Radwell, a campaign to showcase how great Bournemouth is. Would the Leader of the House agree in the strongest possible terms that Bournemouth is the very best seaside town? Would he congratulate this campaign? And would he grant a debate on tourism, particularly for coastal and seaside